400,000 people came to watch machines race 50 feet off the ground. Pilots died here almost every year and the crowds only grew. So here's the strange part. What finally killed this race wasn't a pilot's death at all. Let's go back and see it. This is a real photograph. August 1929. Cleveland throws a parade down Euclid Avenue. An estimated 350,000 people line the street. At the airport, a permanent grandstand seats 50,000, and on the big days, the crowds swell toward 250,000. 10 days of racing, stunts, parachute jumps. The first year alone turns a $90,000 profit. Newspapers call it the World Series of the Air, but the real show was 10 miles of empty sky. The Thompson Trophy, a 10-mile circuit marked by pylons just 50 feet high. Pilots dove into turns at full throttle, wingtips carving past the towers, low enough that spectators could read the numbers on the wings. And the stars matched the show. Jimmy Doolittle won the first cross-country Bendix Trophy in 1931 Los Angeles to Cleveland in 9 hours, 10 minutes. 21 seconds then came back the next year and swept both trophies. Louise Thaden had already beaten the men to the headlines, winner of the first Women's Air Derby in 1929. And in 1936, she and Blanche Noyes took the Bendix outright, the first women ever to do it. Then there was Roscoe Turner, the showman in a self-designed uniform, who flew with an actual lion cub named Gilmore in the cockpit. The lion logged 25,000 miles. This was aviation as spectacle, reckless, glamorous, and growing every year. Even the deaths didn't slow it down. That was the part nobody said out loud. After World War II, the races came back faster. Surplus fighters, Mustangs, Corsairs, machines built for war, now stripped, clipped, and pushed past their limits for prize money. The 1949 Thompson Field was the fastest ever assembled. One of them was a radically modified P-51 called Beguine Dark Green, gorgeous, and owned by the famous aviatrix Jackie Cochran. Its pilot, Bill Odom, held long-distance records. What he didn't have was pylon experience. Labor Day 1949, second lap. Odom banks into the turn, loses control, and the Beguine rolls over into a house on West Street in Berea. Inside are the Lairds, a young family who moved in 4 days earlier. Jean Laird is killed. So is her son Craig. He was 13 months old. Odom's body could only be identified by his wristwatch, a detail the papers reported nationwide. For 20 years, this race had buried its own pilots and sold more tickets the next summer. But this was different. The sky had come down into a kitchen. People assumed the crash ended air racing the way crashes end things: shock, then silence. The record says otherwise. Pilot deaths had never stopped this race. What stopped it was the ground fighting back. Cleveland barred racing at the airport, and town after town around it passed ordinances banning races overhead. The airspace itself was outlawed. Then 1950 arrived, and the Korean War took the planes, the pilots, and the military money that made the show possible. The World Series of the Air didn't get a farewell season. It simply had nowhere left to fly. Pylon racing eventually came back in 1964 in the Nevada desert, far from anyone's kitchen, but it never returned to Cleveland. The grandstand crowd of 250,000 became a statistic in an encyclopedia. Somewhere under the approach lights of a working airport is the 10-mile racetrack nobody can see. If you know a spectacle that quietly vanished, tell me in the comments. That's where the next story comes from. I'm Vanishing Era.